Have you guys ever thought that maybe some things could just be born evil? In our age of fascination, evil is more like an artwork catching our eye or imagination. And demons are actually based on real things, and some things are just born completely evil. 10 years ago, me and my family had an amazing German Shepherd named Duchess, who had a litter of 7 puppies. 6 of them looked like normal Shepherd puppies. However, the seventh was snowy white. Nothing looked like nothing like an albino Shepherd, like with white fur, black nose, and blue eyes. So we decided to name her Princess. As 6 months passed, any plans of giving away or selling the puppies became a moot point. As other ones died, we would find them about once a month, not mangled or anything, but just dead, like they died in their sleep. At first, we thought maybe the mother, being her first litter, accidentally crushed them or smothered them. But later, we had no doubt what killed them. Within a year, she dominated her mother, her father, and to a degree, us as well. Her parents shielded from her. When we would bring their food out, she would eat till her heart was contained, not even challenged by the other two. I tried to shoo her away a couple of times to let the other two eat, but she just snarled at me instead, showing those perfect white fangs and her black gums, followed by a growl so deep I felt it in my guts. After that incident, I left her alone. I wondered sometimes if parents of serial killers knew they had a monster in the family. Sure, some of them might be to blame for how the kids turn out because of fucked up households allowing systematic abuse or possible flavors, but I'm one just curious about how the ones to be ignored the fact. I mean, do they really laugh, smile, and pretend everything is alright? I know we sure did. We really downplayed the weirdness of Princess, trying to make her bizarre behavior, like killing the rabbits and leaving them hung in the bushes behind our house, by thinking that's how some dogs show their love to you, including cats. To them, it's just bringing you food. But to me, I thought it was her. I thought it was her taunting us. Just like the puppies years earlier, the rabbits didn't have the marks on them, just like her mom and dad. Princess was taken care of and never hurt for a meal, so she shouldn't have hunted for food, and her kills were always untouched. And the only thing I've ever seen her eat was a kitten. For real, cats would hang in the woods near our house, and the mama cat had a litter in our tool shed. Most of them were tame enough to be petted, so the for real name was Stretching It. When I came home one day from school, I went to the shed to look in on them, and the door was open, and I found the princess inside, her jaws pink with blood, as she devoured the last kitten. Her beautiful blue eyes never left mine. We later found the mama cat on the rabbit bush, as we called it. The tipping point came to the very same year when we found her father dead. He was the most amazing dog my family ever had and will ever have. We woke up one Saturday morning to find him in the backyard dead without a mark, just like the rabbits before him. I could still count the times I saw my father cry. On one hand, and this happened to be one of those times, we also found out that she strangled her prey just like a jaguar would, making a clean kill, but her fur at his neck was still wet with her saliva. So we buried that great old faithful dog. Then my father sent me and my mother away on a pretense, but we knew what had to be done. I'm sure if you're still listening and you find the notion of putting an animal down unbearable, but what other options did we have, like, really. Give her to the animal shelter, give her to another family, and who in the world could sleep with that on their conscience? As a matter of fact, we couldn't sleep, regardless of that decision. So we spent the afternoon at my uncle's house. When I came in from playing outside, I grabbed a glass of water and overheard my mom telling my uncle that she wondered sometimes if the dog was possessed, and sometimes I wondered if the same thing. Not long before the sunset, we got a call from Dad that the deed was done. When we arrived home, he was already washed up and changed, but he couldn't hide the wounds or the haunted look in his eyes. Both arms and one leg, and that was bad enough. But it was stuck with me all these years later. It wasn't until I have been in combat to understand the look. It's like staring death in the face. My father never talked about it, but told a friend of his, so that's how I got this story. That's how I was able to get this part of the story. Princess was many things, like bloodthirsty and evil, chief among them, but stupid wasn't one of them. But in fact, her father was famous for letting himself inside if it was raining, and he couldn't figure out, but he figured out how to pull open the sliding door to the patio. But that's really astonishing, the way how he closed it behind him. But like I said, she wasn't stupid, and knew something was up and hid in the woods. But Dad didn't want to put this off, and went into full revenge mode. He called his friend from down the road, filling him in as he got there, and they went hunting. He said she was laying for this. Kind of sounds absurd to say she was laying in ambush. I felt how wrong about her I truly was. She led them on a chase through the woods, barking whenever she thought they lost her, but then laid up beneath and overhung in the creek bank where the paths crossed and waited. She attacked my father as soon as he stepped into the creek, grabbing his leg and making him fall headfirst into the water. That's when she went straight for his throat. My dad lost his rifle at the point, so he grabbed her with both hands, wrestling with 150 pounds of teeth, claws, and muscle, trying to fend her off in a foot and a half water, while she began to savage his arms. But he managed to kick her away from him, allowing his friend to have a clean shot, catching her right in the chest. The shot in the head at point blank. He helped my dad back home, then to the emergency room, and told him that he would go and see Princess when they got back. But all he could say was, "She can rot where she is." When they got back from the hospital, our neighbor took his ATV into the woods to pick up Princess for burial. Like us, he was also a dog lover, and it didn't seem right for him to leave her out there. But if only he knew her like we did. She wasn't there, he said. No blood trail, nothing. After a while, he said he knows something strange. No birds. It was dead quiet, like right before a bad storm hit, he said. So he got out of there real quick. But there was a bad storm coming. That night, Duchess started pawing at her back door, wanting in, which all the time we lived there never really happened before, and I had a bad dream that night. In my dream, I was playing football in our backyard with my friends, and we went to get a bad throw that landed by Rocky's grave. As I went to grab the ball, Princess's head popped out of the grave to bite my hand. With a jolt, I woke up and I was scared. 10 more years out of my life by a silhouette of a German Shepherd in our hallway. But it was only Duchess. She was just sitting there, whining and wagging her tail nervously. and she would keep looking back at the front of the house. I placed my hand on her head, and said, "What is it, girl?" And that when and that's when I heard claws on the glass. Something was pawing at the patio door. Terrified, I grabbed Duchess and dragged her along with me to my parents' room, slamming the door behind me. I was 14 at the time, and I was extremely terrified even when that terror retreating to my parents wasn't just for security, but because that's where the guns are. I woke them both up and told them that I heard what I heard. "Oh, sweet Jesus," my mother said. My father locked the bedroom door and told us to go to the bathroom and lock the door. All of a sudden, I heard the patio door open, and the rest of us had any doubts about what came into the house. Duchess had no clue, and she only feared her own pup. Deep rambling of a growl vibrated the entire floor underneath our feet, and Duchess pissed all over the floor, and I almost pissed myself as well. A 6-hour exercise of pure horror, snarling attacks on the bedroom door, crashes through the rest of the house as Princess found more things to break. My mother whispered prayers, and my father cursed. We didn't even have a phone. We did, but it was off the charger, and the charger, and it was dead on my parents' nightstand. All we found out later that night. Later, the line had been ripped out of the main box. My mother suggested we boat to the car, and it was my father's response that frightened me completely, because he has to be the rational one. But his answer was, "Honey, I think it's what it wants us to do." The world went black to gray through the windows, and a complete quietness fell over the house. Me and my mom watched out the windows in an attempt to get a clear eye on the patio door. Without any luck, we couldn't see. An hour of silence passed, and my dad quietly opened up the bedroom door, being cautious because the dog senses are so much better than ours. He stopped in the hallway and said, "Don't come out until I say okay." Carefully, he made his way through the house to the patio door. We heard him shut it before he told us not to come out until he said we could. We could hear him moving around and sounded like he was dropping things into a garbage bag. 30 minutes passed, and he said all clear. When we came down, we seen ripped up cushions, pillows, destroyed furniture, shredded papers, and books all over the floor. But worst of all, the gore over everything. Grim-faced, my father headed to the backyard to bury Rocky for a second time. We all cleaned up the best we could, while Dad went to the neighbor's house to make phone calls. After all these years, I wondered if the homeowner's insurance covers attacks by undead ghost demon dogs. We all wondered what the next night would bring. We didn't get a repeat, but Duchess never left the house again, and time rolled on. Occasionally a new present would appear on the rabbit bush as a token of Princess's love for 2 years. Princess's love to us. 2 years into college, my dad called and told me the neighbor passed away, heart attack while asleep. But me and my dad, we were both thinking, not a mark. I've had plenty nights that I've wondered what was the last thing he saw before he passed, and I guarantee it stared right back. Not long after my folks put the house up on the market, about a week after, the new owners that moved in gave us a call from the new house, and he wanted to know if we had any pets that we left behind, because him and his kids kept seeing a beautiful white German Shepherd in the woods. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed today's creepypasta. Hit that like button, leave a comment below, And if you're new, please hit that big red subscribe button.